What makes you a fast driver? This is a lesson on racing psychology, a lot of really cool concepts that I've learned over these years, and I'm going to show you the most important ones that are definitely going to help you throughout this course and throughout your driving career. In this lesson, we will discuss how to learn faster. We're going to talk about the plateau, which is something everyone is afraid of. Then we will discuss the Almeida method used by me and my coaches in my academy. And finally, how to make competitive driving feel and look easy. So how do we learn faster? First of all, you have to let go of your ego. Focus on the task, not on yourself. All right, let's break this down because it's a little bit too ethereal, right? Let's say you do a bad lap. You have two ways of thinking about that lap. You can say to yourself, that lap was really bad, or you can say, I was really bad on that lap. It might sound like the same thing, but there's a huge mentality difference in these two statements. If you say that the lap is bad, that means you can always go there and fix it. If you say you were bad, that makes it feel like you are the cause of it and that you are to blame, and therefore you're not competitive enough. And even though you can say, yes, I'm going to improve after, that's not the same thing. This is a very delicate conversation, but it does affect the way you practice and the way you dedicate yourself towards a difficult task on the long term. So do not ever say I'm a bad driver, because that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy and you actually start driving worse because of that, because you yourself believe in that. You have to always talk about the task, what needs to be done, and then if you convince yourself that you're capable of fixing that, you will fix that actually quicker, and your brain will prime itself for you to learn quicker, meaning less lap times until you improve. Again, doesn't make a lot of sense on the short term, but on the long term, that's a big difference. Second, stop trying too hard. Just feel the experience of driving. By trying too hard, I mean a lot of physical effort. The way your mind is stressed when you're trying to hit better lap times can even affect your body, can even affect the way you tense up your shoulders and your arms and you start making faces. And that is just a sign that you're trying too hard. But when I say trying too hard, I'm not talking about how much time you practice or how many laps you do. I'm talking about the actual corner. I'm talking about maybe trying and wanting so much that the car do the right thing, but the car doesn't care if you want it to go fast or not. The car will only blindly respond to your inputs. So sometimes you're trying very hard, but if you're doing the wrong thing, if you're abusing the ABS, if you're abusing the steering, you can try as much as you want, it will not fix it. Sometimes the awareness of a solution of a problem actually takes a lot less effort than just trying the wrong thing very hard. And this is why stop trying too hard is a good advice, because it invites you to think about easier solutions, to think outside the box and go investigate the problem and try maybe braking a little bit less with less ABS or turning less and being a little bit more scientific about the task, not physical and emotional about it. And feel the experience of driving is precisely you being calmly absorbing all the experience of driving. You're not trying so hard. You're not directing your energy towards the car. You're letting the car tell you what is happening. You're just being a sponge. You're really just responding to everything and feeling what's happening with the force feedback, what's happening with the visuals and with the sounds, and just trying, okay. You know, that is kind of the mentality. You're just having these micro aha moments instead of, see the difference? And most importantly, be exposed to high quality drivers and coaches and videos and courses, anything that shows you how fast people do fast laps. This is the best way for you, with not a lot of effort, just watching what they do, you end up picking up things. And the more you drive, the more experience you have, the more sensitivity you have to pick up on more and more details. If you're a beginner, you're not gonna really notice what they're doing with the trail braking or the engine braking because there's too many things happening, right? You're gonna basically look at the line, where they brake, but the more you drive, the more you start realizing how much on the curb they are, or when they turn in, or what gear they use, and stuff like that, even like throttle blips. And the more you drive, the more you're capable of identifying small things that faster drivers do. That is why, instead of trying very hard, you just need to look and imitate and drive again calmly. You will absorb the experience, then you watch a faster driver, then you ask for advice. Hey, can you see what I'm doing here? Can you give me some advice? And that is the way to learn as fast as possible without making it such a suffering experience. And talking about suffering, let's talk about plateaus. So what is the plateau? Here you can see a very basic illustration I've made representing your lap times when you're a super beginner and how it approaches the ideal lap time. If you're a total beginner who never drove ever before on your first day, you might be literally 40 seconds off the lap time in a 2-minute lap. And then over time, you quickly improve that. But the closer you get to the ideal lap time, the more slowly you will improve. And there's less and less and less tinier things that you can improve to find the perfect lap time. It gets more and more difficult over time as the years pass. But this is a very optimistic assumption that you are never going to stop improving. Well, that is where the plateau shows up. A plateau is when you're improving, and then you suddenly get stuck somewhere. So let's say you get at, 5 seconds off the pace and you just can't improve your lap times. After that, even though you're driving for months and months and months, you're just 5 seconds off no matter what you try. That's a plateau. It's not like everyone is going to have this progression. Many things can change, right? So here, the experience would be, say, in years, but we can easily have someone who in way less time can catch up to someone, or we can have someone who plateaus here and then some prodigy kid is going to quickly pass them in a matter of months. This is very possible. It depends a lot on your context, on your age, whether you have access to high quality references and coaches, and maybe, I don't know, your dad is a racing driver and puts you on a go-kart when you're age 1 or something like that. Obviously, you're going to improve way quicker. But normally what you're going to have is actually a series of plateaus as you improve. So realistically, someone can be very, very fast and then they plateau for a while. Then they find, a team and they start practicing together. Ooh, very quickly, he finds a lot of lap time by comparing telemetry, watching videos, asking for help. But then they stop practicing together. You can plateau again. Sometimes you might even, drive a little bit too much without coaching. You can develop some bad habits. You can even go back a little bit. And then, okay, now you get a coach and then you start improving a lot and then you plateau again and then improve more and so on. So this really changes a lot. Everyone is going to go through plateaus. It's a normal thing. You just want to minimize them. You don't want to have a lot of plateaus. You don't want to have a plateau very early and develop bad habits, because the longer you spend on a plateau, the more difficult it will be for you to come up again. So if you do experience a plateau, right away you want to really see what is happening, because you don't want to solidify your bad habits. Essentially, the plateau is when your learning speed is 0. Some people learn very fast. Some people get stuck for a long time. That is your learning speed. When it comes to 0, you are officially plateaued. So how do we break the plateau? First of all, awareness. Again, it's not trying too hard. It's not a lot of effort. It's just awareness, literally awareness. An aha moment that you have when someone tells you something and you try it and it feels amazing and suddenly you find a lot of lap time, that probably wasn't too difficult, right? Like it actually is easier when you find out that if you do this or that, the car actually goes faster with less effort. So it's awareness. Now that you know it, you will not unknow it and you will improve way more. So look for aha moments. Aha moments happen when you seek for information. I know it's not that easier. It's way more fun to just drive. And sometimes having to actually stop to watch a lesson, it's not ideal. And I do the same thing for everything. Piano, drums, racing, languages. I'm learning a new language. I'm gonna try some things on my own, but it's kind of boring to go have someone to teach me. But it's definitely worth it, because you're giving yourself the opportunity to be more aware about things that will make your task easier. So that is why awareness is the number one thing to break the plateau, which is why I created this course, which is why I created this series, which is why I created the academy. It's really me trying to share with you guys everything that I know, so that everything that you do feels easier and looks easier. And then your competitors are going to be like, oh my God, you do that like it's easy. And that's precisely the transformation. When you're doing something, it looks easy, even feels easy, that is very difficult to someone else. It's because they are not aware of what you're doing, and you are now aware of something that is completely transforming your experience with less effort. And building on top of that, we have created the Almeida method. It's a philosophy of practice in the simulator that is based on a very simple phrase. If you can cause it, you can prevent it. If you're afraid of spinning, then go spin on purpose. See exactly what you need to do the most beautiful spin ever. If you're afraid of understeering, then try to understeer on purpose. See what things you need to do to make it worse, and then just reverse it so you can learn how to prevent it. This is a very, very useful method that we're going to talk about and implement in pretty much all lessons on this online series. And finally, how to make competitive driving feel and look easy. The answer is in muscle memory training. The answer is actually a lot of time. You have to really, really practice so much to the point you're doing the difficult things that at first you had to think a lot about without thinking about them anymore. And that is why you need this 4-pillar combination of time, patience, reference, and repetition. You need time and patience to try the new things. You need to repeat and repeat and repeat so that you train your body to do those things and to gain precision on your left foot, for example, for braking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%. You need to train your foot a lot for that precision. For me, on the beginning, to brake 1% was impossible. I would brake 100 and then maybe 20 and 30, but then it would be like sometimes 40, sometimes 20, and I had no precision. The car was behaving erratically. But with time, I was able to really get to that 1, 5, and I can do whatever pressure I need nowadays. What did I do? I didn't do any magic trick. I just did repetition. I just had patience and kept practicing. I never gave up or told myself, oh, I'm a bad trail breaker. I never said that. I said, oh, currently my trail braking is still bad, but I'm working on the precision. That's way better. And obviously I need the reference. I need someone who's actually doing it right so that I can have the idea of what I'm going to do in the future when I improve my precision and what's my target, what's my goal. And that is how I developed my trail braking precision, for example. But this applies to absolutely everything. You need time, patience, reference, and repetition. And what you don't need at all is effort, tension, and blind laps. You do not need to apply a lot of effort in it. Effort, when I say effort, I'm talking about a short-term effort of like actual tension and this crazy willpower or this crazy even optimism, like let's call it like toxic positivity, you know, like you're like, I am going to do my best because I want to be the best driver. You don't need that. You can just very calmly go and drive and have fun. And you might actually get better than someone who's like trying to tell everyone that they're going to be a Formula 1 driver because they want so much. That is actually not going to help you become a better driver. Tension is just the physical expression of the effort, the mental effort that I just talked about. And blind laps is essentially just driving and driving and driving and driving without ever getting reference, without ever getting access to high quality drivers, teammates, leagues, or competitions. If you're just driving against AI alone all the time and doing 200 laps without actually improving, you're not going to magically improve. You need awareness. We're in 2025. We have access to a plethora of information, and you need to read those books and watch those videos and try to talk to faster people if you want to speed up your development by getting better access to reference. Up next, we have this very, very cool graph on memory retention. I want to show you this because my course is actually based on this effect. So you're going to find some repeated stuff in the next lessons. They are repeated, but a little bit more polished. And then I repeat them again, but a little bit more subtle, because that is how I am planning using this to make sure that the course gives you the best results humanly possible. When you first learn something, your memory retention decreases very fast. In this graph, for example, you are going from 100% to 80% memory retention in only one day. But if you get re-exposed to the same information, the next day, it will take you 2 days to go back to 80%. Whereas in 2 days before, you would actually going back to, funnily enough, 69%. And then the second time, it's going to take you 3 days to lose 20% of the information, of the quality and detail of the information that you learned. And the more you get re-exposed to it, the less you're going to forget and the more natural it's going to be. So that is why it's so important to be re-exposed to a lot of content. And even though I'm not going to say exactly the same thing, I'm using this technique throughout the course for trail braking, for light hands technique, for spirals, for a lot of cornering things, and for a lot of like inducing understeer to such a specific level. I'm still going to use the weight transfer information from the level 1. On level 2, 3, 4, I'm just gonna make it a little bit more precise so that you can really benefit from this effect. Next up, we have the Dunning-Kruger effect curve, which is very fun. A lot of people in the community have already placed themselves at the beginning of a course. For example, on the beginning of the course, I was actually here, and then I realized how much more I had to learn, and I was here. So let me actually explain what it is. So the Dunning-Kruger effect curve is a correlation between how confident you are in something versus how much experience you have in it. At first, you're super optimistic, right? You're like, oh, I'm pretty good at this. I've been driving for 5 years on the city. I'm pretty sure I can be a good racing driver. So you're right here. You're climbing, and then you start driving. You start actually winning some races on the beginning because you know a bunch of rookies and you do well. And you very quickly get to the peak of Mount Stupid. What is that? You don't know a lot yet. You had a good start, and you think that you know everything. And that feels great until you get a little bit more experience. You start getting actual iRating and start getting into, like, say, a top split or something. Then you realize that everyone there is way faster than you, and you realize that you don't know anything. This is the valley of despair. It's when you realize that you thought you knew things, but now you are aware that you don't know a lot of things and that you have a lot to learn. The valley of despair is the worst because you were on a high before. You were very happy right here, and now you're just realizing that, you know what, you were not all that great, and you need to really climb a little bit more experience and slowly learn the details, slowly learn the technique to get into the slope of enlightenment where you realize that you're starting to compete with the fast guys. And then only after a lot of years, probably, you will get to a point where, you know a lot indeed, and you will have exactly the same level of confidence that you had when you were at the peak of Mount Stupid. So this is really fun. If you're doing this course right now, you can actually take a screenshot of where you think you are and post it on Discord and leave it there. And maybe in 2-3 months after you finish everything, go back and see where you are after you finish it. On the next lesson, we are going to talk about what is the limit and how to approach it. See ya.